Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And we're taking a look at Distill by Quick Simple Fun Games.
Stijl?
It's spelled really dumb. There's a J in there. I don't know why.
Is it French? Distill is a really light abstract game where you are all creating one large work of art. You all have a different color that you're going for, and you get points based on whoever has the most sections of that color, whoever has the biggest section, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, so again, it being by the company Quick Simple Fun, kind of clues you into how quick and simple it is, but how fun is it? That is yet to be determined. But it is super fast. The gameplay, again, it can be taught in 60 seconds, what he just said there. There are some rules, is that you do have to cover up the other cards as you're laying them out there. It's not a strictly tile-laying game in that you have to cover up at least 2, 3, or 4 of the other cells as you're doing that. So that's where it becomes a little bit of a twist. So at its heart, it's a tile-laying game, but a little bit of the twist there is that you have to cover up other parts of other tiles that have been laid.
And each tile does have all 5 colors on it. So even if you're like, I'm going for just blue, say, I'm still adding every other color to the board with every card that I play. It just depends on like what I'm covering up and what I'm adding and where I'm adding it, because you score for the different cells. So if I'm adding since I'm adding Tom's color, I obviously want to either cover his color up with his new one, so it's basically like a moot point, or cover someone else's up and then add to another section of Tom's so that it is, again, it just kind of cancels out and doesn't do anything for him.
You get a point per clumping of your color. So when I add my, to my blue, if Wes's yellow is there, if I'm just adding to his yellow, he's not getting an extra clump of yellow, so he's not getting more points, but he could potentially get the largest. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy there of like, well, you do want to have a bunch of small ones, but also you do want to have like one big one because you could get a lot of bonus points.
That 4-point or 2-point swing is a big deal.
It really is, especially because every time you play it one down, it's really a 1-point gain, right? Like at the most. Or because even when you're covering somebody else's up, like that's a 1-point differential. So a single point in this game can go a long way. The only thing I will say is while there is all 5 colors on every card, it almost sometimes for me got to a point where the drafting aspect of you pick one and you play it, it wasn't that big of a deal. There were a lot of times where I'm like, I kind of know where I want to play, and it kind of does matter, but like what I want to do right now, most of the cards right here could complete that. Like just the blue is in the center here on this one, so I wouldn't draft that one. But any of these with blue on the edge, I could, in theory, complete what I want to do. Sure, I want that one with a 3, but if I'm going last and pretty much all of them are taken, I can still use that one.
Yeah, it definitely is a game that you could just draw the top card and play it, or you could have a hand of 2 or 3 cards and play them. Yeah. I do think that the drafting there helps it almost move a little quicker because there's a little less sitting there trying to like min-max, and you can do that, especially player 1, you have 5 or however many cards out there depending on the player count.
Yeah, it's 1 plus the number of players.
Yeah. But as it goes, it just kind of keeps the game moving, and it makes it simpler. You're not having to like, here's the cards in my hand. It's just, that's out there, where can it go? I don't want us to oversell the strategy of the game either. Like, there's definitely strategy of where to place it, and where to cover up, and how many things to cover up, and what place to add it to. But it really is a very simple, very light game that I had a surprising amount of fun playing.
I would agree with that. I think you could min-max. There probably is a decent amount of min-maxing you can do, but you really don't have to, and I didn't. I kind of turned my brain off and was just kind of like, well, what are the obvious things I want to do, and did them. And I agree with Wes. I had a blast. Yeah. Like, I don't really like tile... No, okay. I've been saying for a while that I don't like tile-laying games, and I think that's a bit of a misnomer. Misnomer. That's not the right word, but I think I've been wrongly categorizing that. I think they're just one of my least favorite. You know what I mean? To say, like, because, we've played Kickstarter games that are prototypes that are just terrible. Like, there's, like, bad games. I don't think a lot of tile-laying games are bad games. They're just not really my style, But, so sitting down to this, I was like, it's based essentially a tile-laying game, so... but I was like, this is actually a lot of fun, because I do really like the idea of covering somebody else's up. Like, they're like, I'm going to put this here. I'm like, you left your color all on the edge there like that? Oh, good luck keeping that, yo. Boom.
Yeah. There definitely is, like, trying to, like, defend your colors and put it in places where like, oh, well, they can't cover this up because they'll have to cover up 5 squares, or even like, I mean, maybe you could plan it such that, you know, well, to cover mine up, you're messing yourself up too, or like, again, it's that's not that much strategy in it. Like, it's not like super, I'm going to put it here, it's the perfect thing. I think that like the last 2 or 3 rounds, it slows down and people get really strategic because you're like, oh, this is the last round. All right, so who has the most points? And there is a score tracker that we honestly don't use. And I can see there's going to be people who like to use it. There were times that I kind of wish we used it because I went, okay, real quick, I have 14 points, you have 13 points, you have 15 points. Okay, now I know where to go. But when we play, I feel like it is very much just like, I think this is going to work. In the last like round or 2, we get really intense about it.
I feel like I wanted the score to be easy to see the whole time, hence the score tracker, but I didn't want to keep score the whole time.
Yeah.
Because every time you put a card down, you have to like reevaluate the score. Okay, wait, so now I'm at 2. These 2 clump together, so you stayed here. You know, I don't want to do that, but I do want to be able to like see, because, and it's also just kind of like an honesty thing. It's like, stop, real quick, guys, hang on. Let's just count out who has what, okay? So you have 15 plus your 2 bonus points if you have the second biggest, right? Okay, cool. And again, we're probably getting a little, like you said, we're probably getting a little too deep. The strategy that we've been talking about, that's about as deep as you need to get with it, and you'd still have a good time. Like, I'm really, like, I have a pretty high desire to play this again. And not only my history with tile laying games, but my history with small box games, I've always been kind of I have a shelf full of small box games that I pull out for when they need to be there, right? For filler or for ending the night or for if we've only got a few minutes. I'm never like, ooh, I really want to play that small box game because, again, they're just filler. But this one, I kind of want to play it again. I'm like, I bet you I could do a little better. I bet you this time I'm going to probably go for the largest one because those 4 bonus points is a pretty big deal. Like,
yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
So what we need to do is play with like Aaron and be like, Aaron, you're in charge of score.
Yeah, because he cares about that stuff a lot.
Yeah, because with the score, it's not just like, oh, I scored 2 more points, or you scored 1 more point. There's a lot of like, okay, well, you lost a point there. You actually lost 2 points. You gained a point. Like the score goes up and down the whole time. Mm-hmm. So it's
a lot of bookkeeping.
Yeah, it's a lot of bookkeeping, and every single time you play a card, pretty much everyone's score is going to change.
If you couldn't have told already, like, we really enjoyed playing this. It's a light filler, not a lot of strategy. It could be a little bit more strategy if you really push, but you don't have to. But for what it is, guys, it's a lot of fun, and it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I definitely was really surprised. Sitting down, it was kind of like, all right, we got a review game. Let's get it out of the way, get a review done. And then like a couple rounds in, I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So absolutely on board with Tom. If you are looking for a small pocket size, glove box size, whatever game, if you like the art stuff, if you're one of those trendy millennial kids that's like, oh, cool artwork, yeah, man.
Apparently the word distill is an actual art style. And one quick complaint, I don't think these cards are sleevable. You correct me if I'm wrong, Internet, but they're too big.
Anyway, so if you're looking for that, we're going to have a purchase link in the description box down below. I definitely think you should pick up a copy.
And hey, while you're down there, I definitely think you should subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.
I think that you should hit the bell and comment on the video.
Want to see my impression of Wes? So Distill is a fridge!
Distill is a light, abstract game where you are